Hello and welcome to Hope Soaps. My name's Angel, your goat soaper, and I have my soap notes ready for today's amazing soap creation. We are making a full moon soap today. Now, we're going to dive right into it, and here I am just making my goat milk soap lye solution. And here's something that I learned from a fellow YouTuber about how to make the lye solution without it overheating. Of course, with milk soaps, you got to go slow, but here we have it at 109.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So, if you sit it in an ice bath, it will help to keep the lye from overheating and basically turning your soap into a scorched mess. Okay, so now that I've got the lye solution in the fridge to help it cool down, I am going to start getting into the hard oils and butters. But as we're getting into that, I just wanted to say that, I felt like a full moon themed soap would be awesome for the autumn. It kind of fits for harvest season. You want a harvest moon. So to me, I felt like it made a lot of sense. And I think that in the end, the design turns out really well. So right now I'm starting out with my cocoa butter, and I still have cocoa butter chunks. I did end up getting wafers as part of a Prime Day deal, and so I want to go ahead and finish using my chunks before I dive into the wafers. Now, I've also got my shea butter, and we'll go ahead and tear out the scale and finish off this bag of shea butter, which there was a little chunk left in there. So I'm using that, and then I'm diving into the shea butter that I also got from Amazon for Prime Day. And like I said, the full moon, the autumn and the harvest moon theme, I think, was a really great idea. I had yet to use my column molds that you can see there off to the side, which are really just kind of PVC pipes lined with freezer paper. But you'll see in the end, they actually worked out really well. And so I wanted to give that a shot, and I felt like, hey, a moon-shaped, moon-themed soap would be the best way to give it a shot. So let's get this put away, and we will get into our coconut oil. Okay, so of course I've got my Luann coconut oil, which is the brand that I've been using for most of my soap recipes. And we'll get that measured out here into another cup so that we can melt this down and then mix all of our hard oils and butters together. And, going back to the story about this soap, I was just, talking to my wife, who has been so supportive of me starting this whole journey. And I was telling her, yeah, I think this would be a great idea. And she definitely was on board and said, hey, yeah, let's give it a shot, get whatever you need. And so that's why I love her, because she is amazing and she totally backs me up on this stuff. So, here we go. We got that coconut oil weighed out and then mix it together with the hard butters. And then we went and threw that in the microwave to get that melted down. And now that we've got that mixed all together and melted, we'll set that aside to let that cool and get our liquid oils together. So, of course, we start out with our ever so favorite olive oil, weighing that out, and then the castor oil, which I'll hopefully be using the last of this stuff soon. This was my overpriced Walmart cosmetic aisle castor oil, and adding in some avocado oil. Okay, these are all great skin-loving, moisturizing oils, and then some sweet almond oil on top of all of that. And we'll get all of those mixed up, I pulled my lye solution out of the fridge, and you can see that it did kind of orange on the top above where the ice was, but it is cooling down really well. It's down to 90 degrees, and then we're checking our hot oils, and those are at 126 degrees, so we'll set that aside. Now, I've never used sodium lactate before, but I thought this would be a good time to give it a shot, as it's supposed to help harden and make it easier to unmold. And I used 1 teaspoon per pound of oils, as I believe that was the actual usage amount that was listed online. I'm mixing up my hard oils and my liquid oils now, and just giving them a good stir together, making sure that they're all combining well and playing nicely together. Which this oil combination that I use is kind of my base, so I know it does play well together. Of course, I always like to add some kaolin clay into the mix as well. It helps with the bar itself and its cleansing properties. Again, it helps with hardening and drawing out all the grossness in the skin. And now we mix in our lye solution. So, yeah, it did orange some, but I think that it's still going to turn out really nicely. I always like to whisk it together at the start to just kind of get it all blending well together. And then I broke out my stick blender and started to really work it into emulsion and into a light trace. Now, this is the wonderful fragrance oil that I was telling you about, Amber Twilight. We'll mix in about an ounce of that to give it a nice smell and just stir it up by hand a little bit. And once I get it to a light trace, we'll divide it out into a separate container, because this will include, the design includes an actual In The Pot Swirl. So I think it actually, like I said, I think it turned out amazing in the end. I get my mica mixed into my smaller batch there, because this is what's going to give it the kind of moon design, kind of cratery look. And it's very fitting that it's the Luna mica from Mad Micas. And so as I'm mixing it up, I take my stick blender and I blend it up in there a little bit, not to add any extra amount of trace to it, but to make sure that it's mixed very well. So I only blended it for probably another 3 or 4 seconds. So in the pot swirl I go and just take the colored batter and give it a good swirl around, okay, starting off high and then going down a little lower so we can get all the layers in there. And of course, scraping out all the soapy goodness from the measuring cup so that we can use every last bit. All right, and then once it's in there, I give it just a quick swirl, because I want the actual soap design to be wispy swirls. And so here we go, carefully pouring it into my column mold, or my PVC mold. And you can see that as I'm pouring this, I went really kind of basic with the end cap there. I took some saran wrap and then put that at the bottom with some freezer paper to kind of add some stability to it. And then I took a rubber band and double wrapped it. And that seemed to work pretty well for creating that bottom cap to keep it from leaking out everywhere. So we got our first mold filled, and now we're on to our second one. And I need to get a bowl with an actual spout, because as you can see, I am clearly having some issues pouring well into these columns, and I got a little bit of spillage that I didn't see until after I got done getting this together. But it is what it is, so you use what you got. Okay, so we're scraping in the last of the batter into a third mold that I have and voila, we have the finished product the next day. I already popped out the one from the smaller mold. You can see that off to the side over there. But here we go, taking off the base of the first full molds. And there we have our saran wrap and freezer paper. And there was a little bit of seepage at the bottom, but it wasn't a big deal. So I got my handy dandy can of something, salsa, and boom, a little bit of pressure and it popped it straight out, and it made it, the freezer paper did actually make it easier to pull that whole thing out, and the sodium lactate definitely hardened it up there. So this was the first column that came out, and I think it looks pretty good. It's pretty solid, a little bit crumbly. I can show you here in just a second what the result of using that sodium lactate and waiting as long as I did to cut it turned it into. Now, this is a new soap cutter that I just got. My wife actually got it for me for my birthday, and you can see that the sodium lactate actually got really crumbly, made the soap really crumbly and hard, which is fine. I want a harder soap, because I want it to be able to last for you guys or whoever buys my soaps. But yeah, I didn't want it to be this hard and crumbly. So this is what happens, lesson learned. Don't wait a full 24 hours with some of these soaps, especially with the number of butters and stuff that I was using to help keep the bar hard. But you can kind of see the soap, the moon design on the inside there. Once I get an actual full 1-inch bar cut, then I'll show you what the inside actually turned out to. But like I said, look at it's crumbly, and I wasn't too happy about it, but it is what it is. Like I said, I'm not mad about the performance of the sodium lactate, because that's what it is supposed to do. All right, so here is my first 1-inch soap bar, or puck, if you will, and check it out. You can kind of see on there the swirl on the inside. It's not super heavy. It's nice and light, and I think it does give it a really cool full moon look. We'll go through and we'll cut the rest of these, and yeah, I like the color, the way that it turned out, and these are going pretty well so far. Okay, so here I am working through the bars, and I tried to cut my smaller piece again, and oops, I ended up breaking the wire on my soap cutter. So here I decided, after replacing the string, that I was just going to go ahead and put a layer of freezer paper underneath my cutter, so that way I can catch the crumbles and not have to clean off my table with soap crumbles getting into the cracks there. And this is actually, like I said, it's going really well. My soaps are cutting, they're a little crumbly, but I think that kind of adds to the full moon aesthetic of the soap as well. All right, guys, and here comes the lather test, and as you'll see, it does amazing. So guys, I hope that this kind of inspired you all, and you guys get out there and make your own amazing soap creations. Again, my name's Angel, your goat soaper here at Hope Soaps. I hope you guys have a blessed day, and I will see you in the next one.